The people's vote. The citizens of Crimea are expected to reject Ukraine's attempts to join NATO in an unofficial referendum held on Saturday. Expecting results, Russia's foreign minister says he's hopeful of consensus in the UN Security Council on Iran's nuclear program by the new year. Well, straight to our top story. Russia's foreign ministry has appealed to the Palestinians to find a political compromise to the crisis, following President Mahmoud Abbas's call for early elections. Now, Hamas leaders say the decision is an attempted coup and vowed to boycott any future polls. But Moscow has called on the leaders to find a lawful solution. But now there are fears of increased violence in the Palestinian territories, as our Middle East correspondent Paula Sleer now reports.
The applause from his supporters was loud. Hundreds of Fatah members celebrated in the West Bank city of Nablus and outside his residence in Gaza City as the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas announced new presidential and parliamentary elections. But the response from his Hamas opponents was just as loud. They denounced the decision as a coup against the Palestinian people.
If Abu Mazen want to make early parliament election, is against the right and against the law and against the constitution. So he have to respect the Palestinian resolution at 25 of January that he give the Hamas the majority at the parliament seats according to Hamas program.
In a major policy speech at his West Bank headquarters, President Mahmoud Abbas said he had decided to call for early elections after months of failed coalition talks with Hamas. He outlined his difficulties in dealing with the militant group and questioned its behavior earlier in the week when violence erupted at the Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt.
When Hania was late in arriving in Egypt, crowds overcame the Palestinian border crossing, destroying and looting it. Then it was said we entered the border crossing to emphasize our sovereignty over it. Is this how sovereignty is expressed? By this anarchy and barbarism? After all, do we really have sovereignty in the country if we say that the crossing needs sovereignty?
Abbas rejected charges that he or his men had been behind the assassination attempt of Hamas's Prime Minister Ismail Haniyeh that same night. His dramatic election announcement intensifies the standoff between the rival groups at a time when factional fighting threatens to spin out of control. Hamas Foreign Minister Mahmoud al-Zahar has called on Abbas to resign. It's unclear whether the president will run for a new 4-year term of office. He's expected to announce a new election date within the week. The new elections are likely to be held within 3 to 6 months. Paula Sleer, Russia Today, Jerusalem.
In Ukraine, an unofficial referendum has been held in Crimea, where people voted on whether they support Ukraine's attempts to join NATO. Now, exit polls are suggesting around 60% of residents cast their ballots